Hello, travelers. Hello, adventurers. It is so nice to hear of you in a while. I've been very absent of YouTube because life has been happening. So I thought, hey, why not bring back some draw and chill? Mainly because I need a webtoon to get done, and I thought you could draw alongside, draw with me. I always think help is, or having something to listen to in the background is very useful. So, um, feel free to join me on this journey while we draw the Twilight's Moon update. So, yeah, it's definitely gonna be a bit of spoilers if you've been interested. If not, then go ahead and watch along. Take yourself something nice and cozy to drink, and let's get ready. I thought since we were going to be drawing in a webtoon anyways, it might be a good idea to be talking about a webtoon itself. If you don't know, webtoon is a platform where you can post webcomics and post your stories essentially. I've also seen already some written fanworks on there, but that's another issue. Webtoon is this hugely popular website for all kinds of comic artists. I've seen from the stereotypical Westerner superhero comics to all kinds of manga and black and white comics to very comedic shorts, comics. You can find everything on there, and it's very delightful to see how creative people can get. It got really popular during the Big C era, so when everyone was inside. And this was roughly when I discovered Webtoon for myself as well. I already had started drawing my first comics a year prior. I think it was in 2019 when I was making the first sketches for Killing Time. A story I have in mind, but it's gonna be kept a secret for quite a while. And yeah, around COVID, I grew bored, and then I heard more and more about this ominous platform where you could post webtoons. I've seen other people use it, and I started using it myself to find comics and get inspired by. And it was around when I first started drawing digitally on Ibis Paint on the app. on my Samsung 3, I think it was. Um, and then I started posting as well and started the first draft of what is now known as Twilight's Moon. The old version is still up for everyone who wants to read it. I think you can clearly see the the part where I developed and where I got better. I mean, most obvious part, the art style. And yeah, I kind of started drawing there for what was it? Yeah, 5 years now, 6 years almost. It's crazy to think about. Holy shit. The site is old. And it's popular, and it's popular for a reason. They did really well on the advertising era, and I think even now they're trying to continue to get all different kinds of comics on there. I mean, you have popular series like Avatar Aang and and the Yang Adventures. You have all the comics on there. You have Critical Role with their origin comics of the Mighty Nine. You have all kinds of Star Wars comics. You have even a manga with Fullmetal Alchemist, which go ahead and read. I think it's epic. You can totally read it for free and in color. That is amazing. That makes me really happy to see, because it's very much an amazing comic and it inspired me and inspired many people to draw and create, and that's wonderful that we can share in this art form and continue on sharing it with other people. And as that, there are a lot of comic platforms that are minor that are like popping up, but I think Webtoon and Tapas or Tapastic, I still don't know where the Tapastic comes from, but yeah, Tapas is the other well-known comic platform. And if you want to earn money with your comics, your best bet would be these two platforms. But as in any social app or how do I wanna say it? Any app like that has issues, and as a 5 to 6 year old veteran of posting, I think I have a quite lot to talk about Webtoon. Good stuff and bad stuff, mostly bad stuff, especially about Webtoon. I don't have much on Tapas since I didn't upload there regularly. And I mean, I stopped at some point. But yeah, it's always good to know what kind of platform you're posting your comics onto. So here's a few things that Webtoon does positively. For example, Webtoon is, as I've said, the biggest platform you can find on comics out there. That isn't like a Kodansha or other like what are they called, like places where you can publish manga. Like Webtoon is focused on an indie and original platform. They are solely focused on original works. Not original works, but publishing them on their app. And later down the line, if they get popular enough, they might even get adaptations. As you've probably seen with the countless True Beauty adaptations or the countless versions of anime that have stemmed from Webtoon, actually. Like manga that have been adapted into anime. That were published on Webtoon, like Tower of God, for example. That one is a well-known one. So as far as reach goes, Webtoon is probably the best one out of all of them. If you want to reach the largest comic reader base, you'll be very well advised to post on Webtoon. And another thing that has its merits, I think, that Webtoon does good, is that it has this huge community of comic nerds and comic lovers and artists. And depending on if you can find your way around and if you can find people, they have an own Discord server, for example, for Webtoon Canvas artists, where you could join and meet new people. And if you can find new people and meet new people, it's very good help. You don't have to struggle alone in this industry. There are countless of people who are struggling alongside you and are trying to make it big. So always having the kind of help to your side is a good thing, I think, at least. And this is the one thing where I'll begrudgingly say, dang it, Webtoon, that's one thing you did good. Build a community. And I think with the years you also got the tools to like pose as an individual and get things out to your community. I mean, they even had a Patreon connection for a while. I don't know if it's still up there because I never got a Patreon. I'm not. My content is for 100% free, so I don't deal with like platforms like that. But yeah, it used to be very easy to plug it in. And I mean, another good thing is they got rid of the rating system. This was one of Webtoon's negatives, if I remember correctly. A lot of artists were being negative about it because there were a lot of rates where people would go and actually lower a rating just because it features something they simply do not like or agree with politically. For example, a lot of like queer comics would suffer under rate bombing. And I can actually prove it. Or at least I could. I don't think I have the photos anymore. If I have the screenshots, I can. But it used to be that I had 2 comics where I advertised them as LGBTQ. Although all of my comics feature LGBTQ characters. And yeah, I would notice that sometimes the comics where explicitly said it's LGBTQ, it's queer, that they would get rating bombed. And the other one didn't get touched at all. They still aren't hugely popular comics. So, that was fun. And it wasn't like you could write why you disliked or gave this sort of rating to a comic. It was more of a I hate you. So yeah. That's one thing I've kind of noticed that would happen. But luckily they got rid of it. So again, a good thing. Because I think critiques are meant to be, they are supposed to be empowering and like positive in a positive way, where I would be saying like, okay, I liked this and this part of your comic. I see that this and this part of your comic, in my opinion, has these issues. Here's a way you could fix them, or here's a way. I just tell you this positively, so constructive, that's the word I was looking for. So you end up being a constructive criticism. And this is something I've learned in theater class, actually. A constructive criticism is very, very, very important, because you want these changes to happen. And these changes will not happen if people are overly negative about it or are like bullying about it, and bully you about it. This won't help either of the party get to the point where they want to go. So it's always helpful to be constructive with it. And if somebody says they don't want criticism, that's fair enough. You can criticize that mentality, of course, but just rather leave them. Just rather leave these people. I think we don't need any more hostility between each other. The world is wide enough. But yeah, that is one good thing. One of the few good things they did actually in recent years. These are mainly the good things I can talk about Webtoon. I think Webtoon in general has a lot of issues that either come with the company or are just a case of it being so popular. For example, one issue I have with the webtoon and posting on webtoon is that the site itself does nothing to help you grow, and this is an extreme problem in a webtoon that caters to a lot of people and a lot of different, yeah, and a lot of people use it, and it's this huge market. So there will be, of course, a lot of like webtoon artists and users who are coming to webtoon to publish their comic and want to get seen. But it all gets drowned out in the end because webtoon only has 3 main ways, or 4 main ways of searching. This is 1, by the name. If you know a comic already and you're searching for a name of that sad comic, and just search bar, you know, classical. I think everyone has seen this before. But this won't help you if your comic isn't well known. Then you also have the search by posted by. They post the most liked and the most viewed. And this is, of course, a ranking. The second 2 I mentioned are based on how popular a series is. And the last option is, yeah, if you've posted it as of now, it'll show up for one brief moment, for 1 second, and afterwards it'll disappear again. Because the thing is, there are countless of webtoon creators posting their comics on there. So, in every moment you'll get like 10 different webtoon updates of different kind of smaller artists who are trying to push their comic there, who are trying to upload and trying to get themselves out there. So, of course, choosing one will be very hard because you'll really have to look through all of those recently posted to find anything good. There are, of course, webtoons that Webtoon suggests on their Canvas page, which is also a little help that they give to artists to get popular who they see potential in. And it's not a bad idea to have. I mean, every webcomic platform has this, but I've seen it in comparison that it's a lot of already popular series that are on there, and they have barely new artists to get on there, and it's a shame. I would have to like dedicate myself and sit to like look at the actual statistics of webtoons that are below 1k and above 1k, and just kind of see what ends up being if I wanted to look at it like scientifically and stuff. So this is all opinionated, by the way. Take it with a grain of salt, just to be safe. But yeah, this is another problem. Now Webtoon has that it has no good way to find like even smaller stories or smaller creators, or like has this filter where you would say, okay, we are just gonna make this category that is for every comic that is under 1k subs, and this is where where you can find them. Of course, you also have to say, well, like for each, like you can say these are some comics we'll recommend until 500 subscribers. These are some comics that we'll recommend up to 1k, and then you could go up and up, and then just suggest some of them. And yeah, have some more cool categories. Or like another thing that I wanted to suggest, the tagging system. Because the tagging system is not at the best. You basically have two categories that you can put your comic in. One main and one sub. So you really gotta think about, okay, where do you want to put my webcomic? Because actually on Webtoon these categories aren't really well balanced, let's just say that. There's a lot of romance, there's always a lot of fantasy and a lot of action. So smaller categories, categories will be, of course, easier to find, like historical, for example, or zombie, post-apocalyptic. Those are smaller ones, and it's much easier to find your comic on there. So sometimes you'll have it happen that people just set one of those smaller categories as their sub comic, just to try and push themselves. Which, yeah, I mean, if it fits for your story, no problem. Yeah, go about it. Get your money, get your views. But yeah, it kind of feels over. It kind of feels very, very annoying sometimes if you can catch webcomics that aren't supposed to be in there, that don't have anything of that category and are just there to get views. Yeah. Sorry, I blinked out. Another thing, while we're at the topic of categories, now that I'm talking about it, again, there's too little and too less details. For example, romance, you could totally just cut it up into more detailed kind of romances. What is this enemies to lovers? Is this BL? Is this GL? Is this straight? Is this or just straight up queer relationships? Do you have toxic relationships? And then just tag them kind of like that. Make it the more detailed you can make it in categories, the better. So people can actually go and search. Okay, like on AO3 where you're saying, I wanna read some toxic stuff because I don't know, my mind itches for badly relationships and that kind of destroying each other kind of stories. Just as an example, and you could easily find stuff that is exactly what you're looking for. If you were to look for that kind of romance right now, you'd have a lot of trouble finding it because yeah, the categories are just so broad categories. Yeah, which is a shame. Mainly, I think. So it's really important to broaden it. Yeah, another problem Webtoon has. So we talked about Webtoon isn't really self-advertising much. If they see potential, they will, but if you're small and don't have a platform anywhere, you'll of course fail in capturing an audience. That is a shame. But then there's also this growing thing where artists are noticing Webtoon as a company slowly starts getting more and more into AI topics. I think we had several trends, quote unquote, where they published an AI to recreate something in that kind of artist's art style, which is super annoying and not really helpful as an artist yourself. Because it takes away from your work. And I don't think we need to get highly detailed into the AI topic. That's a topic for another day, honestly. For another art and yep. But it's of course it feels very disrespectful, is what I'm trying to say. Because the platform is built on artists' work and labor, and to just ignore it like that feels awful. That feels really, really awful. So yeah, it's not really nice to see that, and to see that in a growing way. If it were sadly only the kind of AI that algorithmic, I'd probably be fine with it. But if it's generally just generating stuff, that's a no-go. That's a big red line for me. So be aware of that when you're wanting to post on Webtoon, or you're choosing your platform for your comic, essentially. There's also the thing that Webtoon is known by Webtoon artists as a greedy platform. We've seen this countless times in a lot of complaints about Webtoon original platforms, or like not platforms but creators that are saddened by the pay, because there's a lot of things that needs to be paid, a lot of work that needs to go into weekly updates. So it's hugely stressful. A lot of artists already burnt out in the middle of a season and had to take a break, which wasn't paid leave, by the way. You're on a contract where you essentially are getting paid for every episode you push out. And again, there are better topics and videos going into more depth, but you gotta be really careful when trying and signing a Webtoon contract. Yeah. And another thing that people have been kind of noticing, that there's this trend of slop content on Webtoon as well. Not only in the Canvas section, but in the original section as well, where Webtoon is essentially trying to put quantity over quality, which I mean by there's a lot of like tropes that get repeated. For example, the villainess reincarnates stories, or the action Korean dungeon slop that are appearing very, very often in there that you can find. If you're into that and you're just wanting to read it to shut your brain off, that is totally fine and well. But if you're trying to find something meaningful as a reader, or as a comic creator who tries to get inspiration by something and wants to see how other artists are doing it, then tough luck. Because yeah, Webtoon for a while has been pushing out a lot of, yeah, I do not want to call them stop comics, but in a sense they are. It's kind of like the oversaturation of the isekai trope, if you know what I mean. And you're into this anime manga sphere. So it's, yeah. It's a shame, because I would love to read more thoroughly diverse stuff. Not only like diverse characters, but all kinds of stories, all kinds of different ideas. No matter how interesting or creative they are. Like, you can go wild with webcomics. You can make generally scary stuff, for example, Junji Ito, or really beautiful stuff, like Witched Atelier. Like, the art on this manga, holy shit! So it's a shame that Webtoon tries to find a lot of like the same old stories. I want some more stuff. I want refreshing stuff, not the old stuff. Oh, and while we're at the topic of yeah, what is it? While we're at the topic of slob content, there are actually a lot of advertisers and AI slob comics that fill up Webtoon Canvas. If you're going into like recently updated filtering system, you probably after a while of like scrolling, you'll notice that one casino app after the one casino comic after the other casino comic, but only there to turn people off the website and get them to go gambling or read their AI slob, which they technically don't have any rights to post to anyways, because you can't copyright the AI pictures. So you'll find a lot of slob like that as well, which is even more annoying to artists that are trying to get noticed on Webtoon themselves. And it's another way of pushing people away or like not using this filtering option, which makes it even harder for smaller people, because how do you get noticed if nobody is looking at the most recent updates, because there's too much slop in it. So yeah, these are some generally big gripes I have with Webtoon as a platform, and I wish Webtoon would change. And I mean, there's even more. There's suggestive content, or like bordering to 18 plus content on that app, from web comics that even Webtoon themselves is buying and publishing on there. So yeah, that is also a questionable questionable company or app like leadership in a sense. But yeah, I think there have been people who have been talking about it better than I do. I mean, this is just a giant chill where we mainly talk about Webtoon tea and complain about 20 minutes of complaining. Yuppie, we've barely been drawing. But this is something I have a lot of main gripes with Webtoon. And I understand to some part. You can't expect an app to carry you. I understand that now, after like 5 years of being in the creative field as a hobbyist. You need to go out and let people find you via different social media forms and give them something that they might want to look at you. And if you don't do it, of course, people won't find you. And so why people, I think I remember TikTok got hugely popular. They got a huge Webtoon like community on there, and it was very easy to get people interested in your stuff. But I think even YouTube, you could go out there and advertise via shorts or something. Just be careful to add music to your stuff, because apparently that's what I've noticed in my That's what I noticed in my posts. They tend to do a lot more better if I add music to it. Which I sometimes can't because I upload directly from DaVinci Resolve. I do this very, very edited VTuber-like post, so eh. It's really but yeah. So with all the complaints that I have right now, why do I keep posting on Webtoon? Mainly because I've been there from the start. I've been on Webtoon for 6 years, and I found my community on there. It is small, but I did find friends and a lot of people that are Webtoon only readers. Which is a shame because I'd love to move over to another app, to Tapas or Global Comics. I think they've been good for a while, at least. Friends. They have been advertised and then it went full on silence mode. For me, at least, I didn't inform myself on the app anymore. So I don't know how well it's going over there. And yeah, it's a shame because I think smaller platforms are good as well. They are more dedicated usually, and there are a lot less people and a lot less comics, but it's easier to find your stuff. And the platform doesn't have issues that a larger one might have. So the best thing I'll recommend from someone who put all their comics in one basket, do not do that. Do not put your comics in only one basket. I know it's annoying. I know it's like exhausting to publish the comic to different kinds of platforms, but do it if you can. When you start, immediately just hit publish on both sides and get both sides interested. Because you never know when Webtoon might break down or when Tapas might break down and then everything is lost. Or when one platform might jump into the eye pit. So yeah. That is something I will recommend, and definitely a mistake I made. Although I do love my community on Webtoon, and the few people I have that are still reading my comic, shout out to you who constantly comments on every episode. I love you so much. Platonically. I appreciate it every time. So big thank you. And those are the people I actually write my story for. For the one person that is interested in my comic. And for the one person who has persevered over months and months, but still came back after I published after a long of a hiatus. I think these are the people that are genuinely worth the struggle. I wanna shout out because it just means a lot. A community isn't built on. A community is built on the regulars, on the small people who have been there from the start, and yeah, that means generally a lot to me. I might not be hugely popular, and to be honest, I'm always scared of becoming very popular. Because it means a lot of other issues. Because then people expect that I can go and give you different kinds of monetary options, which already proves itself on Twitch, where I have the option to become affiliate, but I don't because of tax situation and yeah. Opening up a business in Germany is not easy, and I wish there was an easier option Jesus, that witch would file the taxes immediately, but can't have that, I suppose. Can't have life be easy or something. So yeah, that's one of the main reasons I still stay on Webtoon. I don't have any audience everywhere else, and it's difficult to build it up. And I do have a few people over on Webtoon that I don't want to disappoint, so I'll stay there. The only option I have to additionally publish would be on Discord. Shout out to my Discord, the Tavern. If you're 18 plus, feel free to enter over the link down there. It is a small silent community, but I hope with time it'll grow into a small, a bit more talkative community where we can help each other out in any kinds of regards and be there for each other. I love that to happen. Or just have different kinds of artists in there and just talk to each other. That would be neat. Because everything is better if you have people to talk with and friends to share it with. It's really important to find your own community. And this is something I want you to take to take away from this video. If you're doing one thing, please search for a community and please interact with the Webtoon community. It'll help you a lot in the long run because you'll have people that you can collab with, that you can do stuff with, that you can meet up. For example, I've been a part of one Webtoon server, and every year we kind of met up in a con, and it was really wholesome and fun, and we were all happy to see each other. It was something really, really beautiful, and I hope you can get to experience that same sort of community as well, where you just together, maybe sitting in a coffee shop afterwards or something, where you can just celebrate that you are artists, you are amazing creative people, and yeah, that is that you share the struggles. That's the thing I want you to go out and take in the world. And please remember, everyone is human, so everyone makes mistakes. We all have different opinions, but that's what makes us especially beautiful. And this is what makes comics so wonderful, because someone might create a comic from a different angle that I'm doing. I'm doing a vampire comic, for example, where I'm trying to tell a story about siblings finding their way to each other again after after one got Princess Peached, and yeah, is kind of now sitting in a castle brooding. But yeah, this might be enjoyable to someone else. This might make someone stay, and so yeah, you never know how amazing your comics can be. So big recommendation to pull through. There is someone in the world who loves your comic and will love your comic. You just have to persevere and find them. And go out! Definitely go out and share yourself. Don't sit there and wait for people to come over. That's some of the biggest advice I would give for Webtoon artists out there. I know we weren't able to draw a lot, but thank you for coming to my TED Talk. I hope you enjoyed your time here. If you want me to make longer videos where I can go into rendering and more stuff, feel free to tell me so. I would love to see if people would actually be into that. If not, I hope you have a great rest of the weekend. And I'll see you next week to another video in the tavern. Bye bye.